TV.
Welcome back to the coverage here at the Australian Ultimate Championships in Canberra. I'm Hannah Penderby, joined on screen by the one, the only, the inimitable Christina Obermeyer. Christina, how you doing?
I'm doing really great. It's pretty late here already, but I'm still going strong. What about you, Hannah?
And I'm good. I went for a walk by the ocean ahead of our first slot of games, but this is game 2 here and Div 2, day 2. All the twos, and it is the women's division Pool B in front of us. Hills from Castle Hill, Sydney, and Inferno of Melbourne, this second team for the Heads of State Club, the initially junior founded club, that then decided on a spare moment in a pancake house to develop an open age side. So a really massive club developing this team. The first two seeds in Pool B have had very different results. Hills have been rolling the pack so far, with wins against Valkyrie Ultimate, Underground and Manly Swell, with huge points difference margins, whereas Inferno have had a 0-for-3 record, with losses against Underground, NSU Aura and Valkyrie Ultimate, with a points difference of -24 overall. So, Christina, what are you expecting from this matchup?
Well, on paper, it looks like a bit of a blowout, I gotta say, but I always like to be surprised, honestly. It could be a really intense game. It's day 2. Cards are mixed and new, hopefully, and I'm just really excited to see some Ultimate, honestly, in Women's Ultimate, especially.
Indeed, you and I cannot go outside and play Ultimate, but the wonderful island nation of Australia, our flag, being British, our flag's on your flag, guys. You know, we're cousins, right? I can totally come over and play Ultimate over there, maybe. No, okay, they probably won't let me in until I've got my vaccines. However, it's beautiful to see the sun has come out. The wind is strong this morning. We had the first game in the Open Division go pretty much. I think we saw 2 or 3 upwind breaks. They were hard fought and hard won. So let's see what this women's division can throw up against the blustery breeze. Hills there on your screen in these rather attractive white and green shirts. I'm not sure what colour Melbourne Inferno are, but we'll see them in due course.
I think they're a shade of red, aren't they? Saw them before. So green against red. It's a very classic matchup, isn't it?
Well, unless you're colourblind, because red and green is sometimes a colour blindness that you can't distinguish between the two. But hopefully, light and darkness will help anyone that's less visually able. Trying to be considerate of diversity and all that. So, rather short pull from Inferno, coming out with his own straight out of the blocks to try and take advantage of these blustery conditions, and immediately a turnover from an outstretched palm. Just didn't quite close around the disc in time. Oh, but the wind catching that one and sending it straight back into the turf. As these two teams finding their feet. It's got to be the first game of the day for them, so maybe just a bit of initial nerves here. Hills putting a big curving backhand across the field. That's going to be snaffled out of the air by the number 33, Gabby Mello. Putting it up, chasing it down, but just enough touch on it to pop it up. Big fake from the number 1 shirt. Swinging around negative yards, but more than happy when you got the wind behind you. It clustered around the handler set, and it, again, just a bit of a clap of doom there for Hills. On a shorter field for the upwind break. Can Inferno punch one in straight away? No, they're going to overthrow to the 2 deep defenders there, catching cleats.
Great heads up
7
defense
for
there by
Hills.
Hills.
We did see this in the previous game, a little bit of... Ooh, I tell you what, that was quite a nice hand block there. That's got to be Anne-Catherine, the German Geisler. Being, unsurprisingly, from Germany. But again, that backhand just gets popped down. So Beck McKerney even. For Inferno, the number 33. Looking a wee bit messy and sloppy.
Yeah, both sides just not really managing. Haven't really managed to get into the game yet, but it's only the first point and we're seeing a lot of action already.
Yeah, lots of trading that's going to sit up and hang in the air. Oh, nearly capitalised upon and kept alive by Wang. A nice little low ankle grab there. But neither side able to string past too many passes together at this early stage. Close coverage, nice up line. Lots of just discs tumbling out of these clap catches. Maybe getting caught by the wind. And another errant pass for Hills. Easily off to the races, go Melbourne side, but not enough power behind that backhand, a little bit rushed. Oh, and what a block! Scooped up by the clap catch on the defence. Very nice, Alicia Roberts. Gonna throw it straight into traffic. My oh my. Now a bit more of a huck it and hope. Can she get under it? Oh yes she can. That sits perfectly in the wind. And straight into the end zone, but again, just a bit of a shocker there.
Just having a bit of bad luck on both sides right now. The beautiful block.
That's much better. Jess Chow with the block. And a punch. Oh, nearly coming through with the defensive play, but there we go. Hills getting the first point on the board after a bit of a messy one, but that's okay. First point of the game. Perhaps to be expected in these blustery conditions. What do we think about that, Christina?
Yeah, on one hand side, yeah, it's conditions are hard, and shaky starts are very common with probably loads of teams, but on the other hand, they really rushed it. Both teams really just ran to the disc immediately and wanted to play on instead of maybe just taking one breath, looking at your perfect or best option in that situation and then taking a shot. So I think they can really work on that to be a little more patient, because conditions are going to be intense. They're not going to change, I suppose. So having that many turnovers might be very, very intense for that long of a game. What do you think, Honey?
Oh, definitely. If you end up with a turnover fest, it rips the energy out of your legs, but it also rips the energy out of your brain. It's that constant having to adjust and refocus and play defense, play offense, and the kind of just relentlessness of it. But in terms of players to watch out for, though, on this Hills side, and I think the player who gave the assist for the first point of this game, Cheryl Lu Hing, number 1 for Hills, look out for her. Quoted as one of the favourite players by her teammates, never stops running. So maybe that's one of the things of a theme for Hills, is they just keep going, like you say. Maybe a little bit too hasty, but just going out the far side of the field will give the full stretch for Hills to have to go if they want a second on the board. And a zony look from Melbourne's Inferno. Very, very close cup. Making it difficult to throw that around, having to just try and chuck it into the wind, but didn't look particularly comfortable.
Yeah, not a lot of options either. The stack just ran away, all of them, and wasn't really a good reset either. So just hard time adjusting for that Hills offense.
Nice focus on the far side. Oh, what a snag with the left hand. But again, a bit of a hopeful pass into the upwind. But it's going to go out of bounds quite soon on that far side.
Looks like
Maybe some of these
all
shots
players have to really adjust to the wind.
I think I'd pick
Looks
up
like
on what you
conditions
said
down
earlier,
here.
Christina, of the slight rush on some of these passes. Maybe the players need to take maybe a second look at the field in front of them and try for maybe the second shot rather than the first. But a short field opportunity for Hills, ripping up a big floaty backhand. Players under it. It's going to be taken away by the defense. The only person really truly trying to attack that one. It's going to chuck it over the top. Oh, what a nice focus there. A little bit of bobbling from the defense, but just manages to sail it enough. Inferno chucking over the top, but again, can't hold off that defense forever. And we're starting to see both sides clean it up that little bit more, which is good. It's what we like to see. Lots of passes between the clustered handler set. Just dinking it. Stretch to get open. Oh, and just about gets past the defender. Bit of a bubble, but that's a goal. Upwind for Hills.
That was a lovely job this time around. Just placing the shot perfectly. Doing that, working in very small spaces that we have seen worked out for the men's division earlier already. Against the zone, it's always a safe option where wind can't interfere that much. So, in my opinion, that was a good recovery from Hills, and I believe that's an upwind break, is it?
It is indeed. So Hills taking 2-0 against Melbourne's Inferno. We did see that second point a little bit less shaky than the first on both sides. I did like the over the top of the zone shots from Inferno. One of them got tipped, one of them got kind of snaffled up, but it is the right thing to do, I think, in these windy conditions.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially if you go downwind and disc will carry on like if you lay it on top of the wind so it can float on, but they did that very well, and they always had their receivers underneath it. So I think that would be one of the things they can build up on in future points.
You can see the face of excitement and pleasure of catching that goal. Very near miss. I think it was Brogan Palmer there trying to snatch that one away at the last opportunity. But if you are joining us here on this live stream, we have a little bit of lag between us two comms. Apologies, Christina. But if you are joining us on this this live stream, no matter where you are in the world, tell us where you're watching in from. We always want to hear from you, our lovely fans. We've already got some spicy comments. We've got a wild point from Contagen. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. So Inferno getting it into play. It's a wild throw going up, but well read. Back safely in the hands of the players in, we're calling this burgundy, red, What do you think, Christina?
Yeah, I think burgundy is good. A good shout for color. Beautiful color as well, and they haven't gotten
A
lucky
little bit
now.
reminiscent of the the scandal jerseys you see of that women's team in the US. Hopefully they can find a little bit of inspiration, perhaps. But a quick turns giving them
Yeah,
back the
exactly.
disc, shooting upwind against the zone.
I'm going for that layout attempt, but just a little too far out of her reach.
Heels sailing it past each other. And you see Brogan Palmer, who's been playing long enough to know better, according to her own self-survey. But that throw didn't go quite long enough to reach her intended target. So back to Hills on the downwind. Rosalie Ash ripping up a big flick for... Oh, and what a snag in traffic on the far sideline for Hills. 3-0.
It was a beautiful grab. That flick up the sideline, as we can see it here one more time. In between two defenders, just manages to get a hand on the disc. Great execution on that throw as well.
Oh, veteran
Hills?
play. Veteran play there from Cheryl Lu Hing, the number one for Hills. 39-year-old, 5'0". So the body positioning on that catch had to be absolutely perfect, and my goodness, was it. Also, shout out to the Hills players for putting some brilliant facts about themselves in our player survey. I don't know if you've had a chance to see Christina, but Cheryl Lu Hing's plans for how she's adapted her training style under lockdown has been to bulk like a champion. So she's been doing lots of eating so that she can get the gains for, her return to play. And you yourself have been working on your power base, Christina, have you not? I've seen your Instagram, your lifting. So Inferno with an early put that's going to be scooped up straight into the hands of Hills. You get off to the races. Charging up towards this upwind side. Oh, bit of contact there with the thrower. One a nice little hand up for Amanda Chu. A player who sadly, when asked if she has any fun facts, said there are none. Serious business. Dashing and popping from the handler set against this Inferno zone. Decent containment though, covering those nice low fakes from the handlers. Chomping up, nibbling the pitch towards their next point. 3 ahead already. Great containment from the Melbourne side on this arrowhead style zone. Cup putting in all the work. Hopefully they can generate the turn and capitalise, get their first blood in this game. Trio of handlers against the trio in the cup. Not even thinking about swinging it across. There's no players out towards the near side of the field. Just playing some small ball. Oh, scooting up that far sideline. We're going to see them open up the field now. Are they going to continue to charge towards this far cone? Seems to be the one. As we saw in the previous game, those tiny passes do work against these blustery conditions. Maybe see the cup maybe crash, try and get in between the handler set. We see the zone really come in closer. Hills are going to have to try and stretch out their play, or maybe is it going to be some fancy footwork? Perhaps a marking infraction with this little pause there. Edging ever closer. Little jump in. Have a quick chat. Not quite enough. I think that's Hutto there, the number 5 for Hills. It's almost like watching indoor ultimate, really. Jesslyn thinks about the high release, dishes it back to Hutto. Just working in this front corner. Looking at those low releases, goes Mello. So close now. Another scooch forward, and finally the little jumps just shy of the line, pops it in. Gabby Mello with the goal. So, Hills extending their lead now to 4 points, unanswered by Inferno. Such patience there on that front cone, waiting, edging, keeping us on our tenterhooks, and then finally just, oh, you're there, you're free, here, have a frisbee. So with it all to do, maybe not quite coming in. Oh, overhead hammer shot into the wind. Ambitious, but I like it. Hills short field opportunity, picking it up, putting a big backhand, arcing across the end zone, but it's going to be taken a little bit by the wind and loses sight. The number 99, Rachel Poon there. The teeny tiny 4'11", 26-year-old, sorry. Who couldn't play last season. Just losing sight of the disc. So clamped on the near side of the end zone. Almost worked out. Just shucking a blade straight into the wind, looking for number 24, Clarice Tan. Sorry, 12 even, Clarice Tan. But Lynn stepping up to the hockey, putting a big flick across, but no one there to receive it. I'm liking the expansiveness and the using the width of the field right now, but just not quite working out. And Inferno will go back on defense.
We can see another flick into that right-hand side of the end zone. We've seen quite a few passes going in that corner, but not really connecting.
Indeed not. The vision is there, but the players, unfortunately, are a couple of steps behind. Bit of a throw before maybe the players were in motion, but another big ripper of a backhand. There is the separation, but again, the wind's just going to punish Hills there. So all Hutto can do is just watch the disc go out of bounds.
If the field would have been just a few meters longer, that would have been a perfect option. But in that wind, you just have to reassess your vision of the field and what throws can be completed in that sort of condition.
So Callahan country for Inferno, but that's a nice pickup. It's going to be called down by the surrounding players. And go back. Looked pretty good from our view for Rainbow Apostol there. Going to ground to try and keep the disc alive, but I think it's going to be called good on the field. So disc will reset, which is a good opportunity for Inferno, because the following pass didn't quite work out.
Yeah, they got a little lucky there.
That is the way of the game. Nice inside shot across the field. Smooth and easy. Back into Rainbow. Oh, a little bit high and loose there though. It pops up a little bit too far for Lila Thorne. And Jesslyn again striding towards the disc, getting a shout out on our comments on this YouTube stream. Yeah, she is pretty good, that Jesslyn. You're right. Oh, and a nice rundown sets up a potential assist, but a little bit too much boost on that disc.
Another flick on that right side corner.
Yeah, Thurgood walking with the disc in hand, actually a statistician for the AFL. So she works at Champion Data. I'm sure she'll analyse the stats of this game. Be interesting to see the figures of passes and completions. Another one goes out in space. Nice lefty grab there, snagging out of the air. Looking a little bit lost for options. Finally gets the reset, the under from Rainbow. And back in front. Lovely flow here from Inferno, but just throwing it into the outstretched hands. The computer scientist miscalculates. There's going to be a call. I think potentially an injury there, a little bit of in the face. I think that's Hutto coming off the field. And again, another look at that pickup from Rainbow Apostol.
Another flick hook. Beautifully executed, but just a little too far for the receiver to run it down. Inferno started out with a good run, but then just couldn't connect on that last shot, and all that work that happened done by them just all gone in one throw, and they have to work it up all the way again.
That is the way of these upwind, downwind games, but it is nice to see the connections starting to find some flow and fluidity now. Garrick.
Yeah, I agree.
Up to Apostol. Oh, nice high grab there. Getting caught by the wind. Can they pick it up? Oh, yes. What redemption. Very good. But then just rips it a little bit too far. Doesn't quite reach calmer numbers.
Preservation of greatness, as it's Been known.
Linwood. Like, still a little bit of initiation from the upfield movement for Hills. At the moment, they seem to be relying a lot on their throwers just to make things happen. Whereas, especially when you've got that downwind, sometimes you need to wait for the players to maybe move a little bit, show you what they want as well. But I do like the vision. Ourselves both being visionary handlers, Christina.
Yeah, I agree. But although if I see a vision, not coming out as planned so many times, I might want to just change that up a bit. And as they do that, as I say it, they do it.
A laser of a backhand, nice and flat, pretty much straight to the collarbone of the intended target. That's a saucy throw.
See the replay again. But isn't that kind of a high release backhand? Clutches it tight to her chest to make sure the disc stays in her hands, doesn't hit the ground.
Well, that is the quality of throw we want to see more of in this match. We perhaps haven't thus far, but a nice rip off the hands of Cheryl Luhing. One of the true adults of the club. So it's that outside of playing Ultimate, her favourite thing to do is adulting. But there's lots of chats on the YouTube stream. Thank you to all of our Inferno fans. We've got Michelle Forsyth saying, "Burn, baby, burn, let's go Inferno." So the heads of state club scene maybe coming together, watching this live stream. Hopefully that can G up some inspiration for the athletes in Burgundy. And they've got the wind with them this time. We saw on that last point a couple of strings of really tasty looking offense. But Hills, of course, will be doing everything in their power to keep their unbroken run. 5-0. And a blady backhand pulls trying to roll its way as far upfield as possible. Inferno's handlers set nice and close to each other, not making their passes too ambitious. Crashing in from the cup. Oh, the mid's nearly doing some homegoing all the way down the centre of the field, but just gets bobbled straight into the face and out of the hands of Rosalie Ash. And up into the wind it goes. What a great recovery, Amanda Chu. But
looks like nobody else has touched it before her.
Oh, self throw, there you go. But another unforced error there from Hills. Inferno shooting through that middle and again not quite working out. Wang doing a great job in that mid position. And another bobble out. I think a little hand there in the mixer. Rosalie Ash just being denied by the wind, the conditions, the other players in the field. Big backhand, trying to make some more movement for Inferno. But a promising option didn't quite pan out.
Now Hill's back with the little
low release
passes.
Indeed. Oh, a big lofty backhand. 2 white shirts chasing it down there. Nice coverage from Emily Shoots, Goldstiver. The 41-year-old actually coming back off a knee injury. Had surgery in 2018, so she was very happy for COVID to have slowed everyone else down to her speed.
Yeah, if there was ever a good time for an injury, probably would have been now last year to recover properly, but still.
Oh, and there we have it. First point on the board finally for Melbourne's Inferno, and they celebrate with enthusiasm. Caitlin Lusted into, I think that was Amanda Chu for the goal.
Very well done on the Melbourne side. They just never gave up and finally punched it for their first goal. And I think, honey, the wind has picked up. Don't you think so? I feel like I see jerseys flattering a bit more than before, flowing around in the air. That is.
Well, we have seen the flags fluttering. That's been our sort of touch point. We keep getting views of our Ultimate Australia banners, and they're kind of having an interesting time staying in the ground. It's definitely pretty blustery. I think the thing is probably that the winds become more consistent in this second game as sort of the day develops. The clouds have cleared. There is more sunshine available. So hopefully, I'm sure all of our Aussie friends have got their sunblock on. I've already made probably 4 jokes about how seriously Australians take their skin health under the UV rays of the hot, hot sun. But I am extremely pasty, and I went on a 7-hour hike in Blighty in Britain, where I am, yesterday, and I managed to get sunburned very mildly. So, you know, put your sunscreen on, kids. Always wear sunscreen. Just scrolling towards our wonderful camera crew. Yeah, cheeky wave. We love the cheeky wave. Working tirelessly in these windy conditions. They don't get to run around and keep warm, but a big put goes up. And just
Oh, that was so close.
There.
Seems to be a call on the field.
Yeah, uncontested foul by the looks of the hand signals.
I love that all the players are using the hand signals.
Big part of spirit, making sure that your communication is on point. So, disc back in play for Hills, very short field in the hands of Grace Young. Looking for an option upfield, just about squeezes it through, but not quite far enough wide to hit Trisha Lim. Takes one look at that disc and says it must have a pile of noodles on it. Don't like it. Highly thatched now for Inferno. Looking desperately for an around reset, shoots it up. That's going to sit and hang. Nice snag out of the air, but immediately throws it a little bit too high into the wind. Oh, but a nice arm up there from Lila Thorne to try and put off. Shout out to Lila's fans at home. She says hi to her mum and her work friends at Dan Murphy's. So Inferno trapped near sideline, squeezing out that reset, but maybe a bit of miscommunication as to who had their name on that one. And the vet, Lu Hing, golden opportunity, beautiful separation. Oh, that is one that she's going to watch through gritted teeth. And Katrin Geisler. She loves coffee, but I'm not sure she's had enough espresso shots.
Always unfortunate to get your hands on that disc and then not being able to score that goal in the end. Maybe she had too much espresso and her hands are a bit jittery.
Just caught by the wind in favour of Hills. Finally, Inferno goes to just tap it down to stop the motion. Lu Hing again surveying her options in the end zone, puts up a high backhand into the centre of the field. No diving attempts to redeem it. Just a bobble on the catch there. And again, Lu Hing will try and command for another point. Players all flooding to her right. Thinks about the inside and throws into traffic.
So many people running around her. Must be a lot of pressure on that thrower if you just have so many options that are half available, half not.
Yeah, lots of options in the high stall count. You can't blame the throw. So no reset on this attempt at the end zone. Foul called uncontested immediately. Stack just resetting. And we're back in the game. Looking just for that inside flick. Dials it in, has the separation on the receiver, but just the wind again getting up in the mixer, slapping it down to the ground.
You know, Hanny, there's a saying in Austria, or probably in Frisbee overall, the wind is the 8th defender on the field, but right now I feel like the wind is taken over all of the defense for both of the teams quite a lot of the times. You know what I mean?
Oh yes, I know exactly what you mean. At the moment, the main player in this game probably has to be the elements. As I say, it's really just a relentless, blustering wind. You can tell, certainly, obviously, some of the throws are coming out maybe a little bit loose, a little bit high when we're going towards the wind, but I think it's probably, you can tell when they're trying to throw flat flicks, just that front edge of the disc is being pushed up, coming out a little wobbly. But it's a difficult thing to do. We are, after all, this is Div 2. This is where some of the development happens of those future stars that you'll see in the upper echelons of Australian Ultimate. Certainly that's one of the points of Inferno. Melbourne Heads of State's second women's team, coached by Hosian Seo and Brandon Dalton. And these windy games, Christina, they're where future stars are made.
Yeah, exactly. If you can just get a grip on that windy conditions, you're so much better in still conditions as well. You can learn so much from a windy game. So, Hanny, what do you think? What is Melbourne going to do now? What are they going to set up? Any thoughts?
I think one of the main challenges for Melbourne has to currently be just getting that flow upfield. They are being patient, they're waiting for their options to develop, whereas I think maybe hastiness is the name of the game for Hills on some of their shots. They're trying to create space with the disc rather than necessarily with their legs. But I think for Inferno, I think they knew that this was always going to be a difficult game for them, so it's just got to be kind of, battling against the wind, continuing to grind, keep your heads up and just see what you can do, because we have seen some good flow, some promising moments into this wind for them. So they have the ability to do it. They've got lots of experienced handlers, some players in their 30s and 40s, which gives me hope. I've now become Masters eligible, turned 30 under lockdown. But I think you stick with your game plan.
The blast, I've heard. It's an interesting setup there at the rather back of their own end zone on the line.
And there'll be a stoppage for, I think, a violation there.
Maybe a discussion about whether she can still go up front to the cone or not. I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken.
I'm also a little bit confused on that one, but I think they've decided that's where they're bringing it in from. So Kylie Thatch on the disc in Callahan country. That's a big, expansive put. Is it going to be Callahan? Not quite. What a battle there, though. Nearly got very exciting for Hills. Another red zone opportunity with exceptionally short fields. I'm liking the little bunched up stack at the back. But the reset coming through for the upline cut does not work out. See Lu Hing there trying to be on the other side of it.
Because with another just disc right outside their end zone, but let's see if they can connect this time.
So Lu Hing, the player that never stops running, oh, and just knees it out of her own hands. You can see the little look of frustration. It's just, look at that energy, just continuing to jog back with the mark. Doesn't take her eyes off the prize for a second. A little bit of a drop in the wind. Can Melbourne now advance up the field? Again, a bit of a lofty chop, cannot be run down though. But immediately miscued by Hills. It's turning into a right battle at this point. Oh, and just tips off. That looked very promising for Thatch going up the line. Player who actually won Ultimate Australia's Ode to Frisbee song competition last year. Fun fact for you. The digital media and music student. As we're treated to some bird song. So another go at this end zone for Hills. Putting it up into the centre of the stack. Oh, and there we go, finally! Another point punched in. Just a bit of a shot to the centre.
A bit of a Hail Mary on the Hills side, once again working out rather well for them. And I gotta say, Hani, I've been thinking about what they could change up a bit, and maybe they should leave themselves more space on the hillside. Going downwind, you have the disc that is carrying itself, so if you leave more space to your cutters and more space for your handlers to throw the disc into, you can connect a bit easier rather than to throw the disc immediately at the person, because when the disc is going downwind, it's going to be picking up speed very quickly, and sometimes, or a lot of times in that situation, you can't really calculate it, how quickly the disc is moving, which probably led to at least some of the turnovers we saw on both sides, probably.
No, definitely. This clustering together works really well when you're wanting to go upfield in your handler set, but giving yourselves a bit more time and space and separating and using the full width, especially because it's when these throws are going errant, maybe gives you that little extra backup. Although shout out also, completely unrelated to Frisbee, I'm really enjoying the little doggo shows we're getting behind that downwind end zone between a collie and some kind of, I don't know, maybe corgi looking thing. So keep an eye out for those. I'm always a fan of dogs. But Inferno now going downwind, a bit of a stealth game of pinball. Frankie Wang there just having the disc be taken out of their hands by the wind. And Hills now attacking against the Inferno zone. Ooh, that one nearly scooping up out the wind. But bobbling away. Again, it just shows how difficult these conditions are to throw in at the moment. But a nice hand block there from the German. Then into Ash. Looking around, spinning around like Kylie Minogue. And Inferno throwing into the laps of the opposition, sorry. Big chuck going up to try and stretch out the field. Hills having a crack at some Huck and D now, Christina.
Yeah, they trying a different option, and so is Inferno, as we can see them hooking a disc the other way. Maybe changing up the strategy a bit is a good shout on that hillside. Gotta make them work and let them run as many yards as possible on that defense at least. And as we see, Inferno has changed up the defense into a more aggressive style as well, trying to contain with a four-person cup.
And it's getting absolute results. Now Inferno's turn on the goal line, but way more successful than Hills were, punching it in very quickly, completely free and open. Nice stuff.
So very quick transition on that Inferno side. Just that is one of the perks of having so many people around the disc, that in case of an unfortunate drop like that, people can quickly regroup and try to find an open player and just use that advantage of bodies for a quick goal.
Caitlin Lister there making excellent use of the fact that the whole pack of defenders just went one way, got kind of maybe didn't communicate with each other enough to really cover the whole spread, but smart stuff for Inferno. They put their second point on the board now. We're quite a ways through the game. 30 minutes left on the clock for them to try and punch in a couple more. Yet to see them really challenged towards that upwind end zone. But an opportunity here.
The conditions obviously are intense, but both teams are not giving up, fighting really hard to get to the other end and to get their goals in, to take that game home.
We're getting some excitement on the stream about seeing Stiaz on the field. Some excitable fans. But Stiaz Omar, number 13 for Inferno. We loved your comments. Keep them flooding in. Let us know where you're tuning in from and who you are, so we can shout you. So shoots for Hills. She shoots. A big flick. And it's going to roll. Could not resist the pun. It's almost a perfect frisbee nickname, is Shoots, don't you think, Christina?
Yeah, I totally agree. Although, does it really have to be a perfect nickname? It just has to be a good story, right?
One of the two, one of the two. We're checking in with our flag. Tournament Central blustering like a champ. Just to demonstrate the difficulty of the conditions. These are all good players, but the wind's making it extra hard. A little chat about whether that one was up or down. And great spirit there from Kylie Thatch. Jeff to her friends. So Lu Hing punching it into a knee sliding 26. Grace Young looking at one 27. Emily shoots. Reeling that one in for Hills. So 7-2.
And Hills are going for that break to get to half. And I actually really like the way she puts her body behind the disc. And instead of just getting a hand there to grab the disc, really making sure that her whole body is being able to take on the disc and sliding grab here to just make sure to get both hands on it to not have any unfortunate drops or anything, which we have seen before. But they seem to have cleaned it up a bit, both sides.
definitely. We're both sides seem to have found a bit more rhythm. It is quite a frantic rhythm with lots of beats, but a rhythm nonetheless. Oh, and there we go. Look at that. Doggo's on show. What a beautiful little coat. I reckon it must be a poodle cross of some description. I say that as a complete noob when it comes to dog breeds. I just enjoy looking at them. I have no idea about them. Nice high dish from
I really
Inferno.
can't hear, I'm sorry.
It's okay, we'll struggle together. Just cute floofs. More cute floofs. As many cute floofs as possible. So, they're good. Into the middle of the field. Maybe we'll see and stretch it all the way across. Nice punch into you. Oh, and a big one into space. Can't quite be run down by sound. It's a nice idea though.
Yeah, I really like the way they positioned their offense, giving them loads of space to run under the disc, and great movement as well.
Yeah, Sound Yadana, they're getting a face full of disc. Inferno rookie this year. Previous sports of badminton and canoe polo, of all things. But Inferno looking very spicy indeed. Can they shoot it into the end zone? No, gets absolutely denied. A lot of contact there between the two players. Look at this grab.
Looks like there's been a contested foul. And the disc will go back to the thrower. Both players looked a bit shaken up. It seemed to be fine now.
Yeah. Gemma Garland, they're going in for the attack on the defensive play. They're good, putting it up, going to have to be chased down, but just gets caught by the wind out of the path of Caitlin Lusted. The Inferno once again trapping Hills, containing them to their handler set on this sideline, and it just goes flying overhead. Another big high release backhand. Have a look at it, but that one just sails over the top. A little bit too much boost on it from Vanessa Thurgood.
Good option though, and also like the Inferno defense right now, they're pushing Hills back and minimizing all the options. They've really cleaned that up.
The other thing I really like about this zone is because this big clustering set, it makes it really difficult to execute those upfield shots. Although, commentators curse, of course, they now slice one through. But it's difficult to get that flatter backhand, which is what you really want to power against this win, rather than those flicks that are going to get caught and turned bladey. A great reception. Handler sat now attacking a bit more, but that's going to have to be attacked in the air. A little cuddle from the teammates underneath it. Big cluster of players. Inferno now looking a little bit like on their sideline. They want people to boost it downfield. Make Hills have to work all the way again. They do boost it, and it's going to go to way beyond the scope of the pack. With the contacts in the deep space on that throw.
Working the long throws now. Going back and forth on both sides.
Well, when the conditions are as gusty as they are, it is a numbers game sometimes when it comes to Ultimate, and how, if you can try and get as many yards as possible and give yourself that opportunity, it's not necessarily a bad strategy. You see it used to great effect by a lot of the sort of elite men's sides in the States. Just if you can chuck it up, but unfortunately a bit of a knee box out there. And Inferno given another opportunity to punch their third goal this game. 60 minutes having expired. Chloe Satan surveys the downfield. Is going to need to look for her reset. Stall count ticking by. Pops it straight through. Oh, what a scoop! Putting the body on the line. Sliding semi-layout catch. Big fan of that. Tan doing all the work and punching into that near corner, but just a little bit too slippery. Oh, scoop and bosh.
This is a very nifty grab.
Oh, what a grab! Bit of a miscommunication there, but we're starting to see a bit more excitement, a bit more fire from these teams now. Thurgood puts up a hoof of a backhand, but no Burgundy in the end zone.
That's a pity. There was a very beautiful shot there, but it's that bit of miscommunication or not enough angle on that throw. Gives the disc right back to Hills.
Having another go of this zone. Nice expansive throw across. Wind, I think, has died a little bit, but errant throw. Oh, what a valiant attempt to try and clap catch that one, stumbling in front. Rosaline Sang trying to make herself a hero for this Hills side. Inferno, a little bit of a cash pass. Tan doesn't like the look of it. Shorter field for Hills now. Nice slow scoop. Popping and locking through the cup, but clashing into each other perhaps a little bit. Maybe we need to chat a little bit more in this backhandler set. And just bounces off the top hand. Holsters the rip. Chooses the centre. Oh, and just loses it in the wind. Lila Thorne taking the difficult reset backwards. Right, Alyssa, you even. And we see an attempt to gain some yards for Hills.
They did that very well. I think we haven't been at the brick point, that upwind end zone, for quite some time. And
immediately the big boost to try and undo all that hard work from Hills. A smart choice.
I agree. Beautifully put as well. Putting up a bit of a high release angle.
I'm sure Sam's legs would have something different to say about how perfect it was, though.
I'm sure of that, yeah.
She did have the separation. Bobbled catch, though. Red zone opportunity now for Melbourne. Host is just about keeps it in grasp. Lusted punches it. Oh, and just another bobble. What a shame.
Hills with that fast break attempt. Just maybe caught her receiver off guard a little bit.
Well, possession back in the hot hands of Inferno. And a little bit too hot the past couple of attempts to catch the goal in the end zone. Hopefully they can melt the disc to their hands a bit more securely. Big flick going up. Well defended by Hills.
Both of these teams are playing very good heads-up defense, trying to get towards the disc, as many of them are floating around a bit, hanging in the air.
Plenty of time and space to make a play. Low throw from the hand of Gabby Mello. Well received. Oh, but again, a lot of these catches, I think the disc just really being impacted by the conditions. Needs to go for the inside shot, finds it, and there we go. Point number 3 for Inferno. Finally, a disc straight to the money pocket. That just, the chest area, exactly where you want the disc to be delivered, and a nice goal.
I agree. Just making sure that the player is actually very and punching it in. That was a well-deserved point for that Inferno side. I like how that player just doesn't immediately take the shot, but waits, takes a reset, and then lets another player with maybe a better angle, take that shot into the end zone. So it's showing a lot of patience.
I'll tell you what though, Christina, you can tell on the back of that celebration that was a little bit more muted than the first two from Inferno, that it's starting, I think, the wind and the hard work that both teams are putting in, it is starting to feel a little bit like a grind right now.
Yeah, I could imagine, Hanny. Also, to be honest with you, if I had to play one of those points, I'd just be delighted it's over. But
what's the longest
I don't know
point you've ever played?
Yeah. Sure.
What do you think? What's the longest point you've ever played, Christina?
Oh, sorry, I didn't get that. The longest point? Probably at juniors, we actually had a game of maybe 15 minutes and we only played 1 point and we won that.
Oh, wow.
Games are really short. And yeah.
So Hills on the attack, very close to the end zone, but so used to throwing those low releases into the wind. Just gets denied. Can Inferno advance further than their own brick mark? Seems like they're going there. Clustered together, sits it up into the sky, and in comes the defense. Rachel Poon there, slapping the disc to the floor. Oh, casual flick, just again gets caught by the wind.
Heads up playing on the defensive side of Hills there. But I'd love to see a bit more chill on that offensive side.
Well, we can see the consideration for the other bodies there. The arm goes in to slap the disc down. Gets the torso out of the way as we again see Hills overshooting with the wind behind them. So we were talking about marathon points a few moments ago, Christina. Would you like to hear the longest point I've ever played?
Yes, I would love to hear that story.
23 minutes. Again, a juniors game. Junior Worlds 2010 against the Japanese. Not even windy. It was just absolute dog battle, dog fight, that's the word. Oh, bobble up in the air. Can we get a quick turn and burn for Hills? We can indeed, it is good. Oh, but just a wee bit too high. Guys are unable to reel that one in.
Unfortunate, just manages to get one hand on disc, but can't secure it yet. Although I really like the shot, that high release backhand option we've seen quite a lot of.
Everyone looking a little bit on the back foot there. Zara Humphreys, not sure she's expecting that disc. Enjoys bouldering in her spare time. Needs a good grip. See the wind really, you can hear it just bubbling up. Bit of confusion there. Beck McInerney just thinking she didn't have the rights to have that one, but it did tip off her teammate, so she could recatch it. Good spirit from the other players, helping out. Kearney, actually the sister of an AFL player, Justin, who clearly got his elite sporting skills from his older frisbee playing sister. Rosalie puts it up. Nice flow here from Hills. Oh, and that is a lovely shot, nice and gentle into the back corner. And a goal for Hills, and that is half with just under 10 minutes left on this game. Nice replays there of that final point in this half. Hills stretching their lead now, 5 points clear of Melbourne's Inferno. We're going to have a couple of highlights from this first half. It's been a grinder of a match. Let's look back at some of the prettier plays between these two sides. And as we review those last final moments of half number one, we are back with the final 4 minutes of regulation time here in this women's pool play B matchup between Hills of New South Wales and Melbourne's Inferno of Victoria. And Melbourne with the wind behind them, looking to punch in to get halfway to the points total of the Hills side, but miscommunication there, just going to ground at the heels of Thurgood. So the wind maybe has died a teeny bit. Hills nicely advancing, really crashing through this cup from behind well. Working beautifully. Lu Hing, Mello, and Rosalie Ash popping and locking through this zone. Need to crash in front. That's a little bit better, but giving up at the last moment. Got to keep that body positioning because they're just nibbling away towards the 9th point at Hills. Inferno sticking with their zone. Oh, and finally there, just the reaching arm of Beck McKerney. Oh, miscommunication, they missed catch. Again, all that hard work from the Hills defender set. Could go over the top, chooses the conservative option. After those long, hard points, they're happy to grind these out. Ash. Crashing these cup. Back and forthing. Bit of a tumble there. I don't know what you think about that one, Christina. Contested. Just checking the disc is Rosalie Ash, making sure that it's all right. Ash described one of her teammates as being like Baywatch, she's always there. By Cheryl Lu Hing, the number one that you see just at the bottom of the screen. And she certainly has been for this Hills side during this game. Always there, always an option, sometimes being denied by the elements. And that is the hooter. The 80 minutes having expired in this game. Can Hills make it a game to 10? With the win behind them. Lu Hing at the back there. One of the marshals of this Hills offense. Easy crashes.
Oh,
and just throws at the ankles.
They've worked so well so far.
High release across the field, but just can't reach up to it. And Hills with a straight backhand, and that is nice. Lu Hing going to work in the end zone this time, and it's going to be game to 10.
They managed just to get that point in a few seconds before. No, sorry, just after that clock expired. Well done for the Hills side, getting an upwind score, the first we've seen in a very long time actually. And I really loved watching the handlers with their great footwork and concentration on the small passes. Although I gotta say, I like the Inferno defense, but as soon as two people are in a close distance to each other, they could be crashing in a little more on the defensive side. Don't you think so, Hani?
Like they were almost using the cup as a bit of a windbreak there for the Hills handlers. They were just sort of nibbling away at the distance between them and this far side upwind end zone. I can't help but feel that maybe the wind dropped a little bit as we came out of the half. It did seem like the passes were a little bit more stable. But downwind now as we see the coach leaving the field for Hills. Let's see what this 7 plucky white-shirted players can do. Or will Melbourne be able to punch in their first upwind goal of the entire game? Low errant catch, going to go back down to the floor. Valiant attempt, short field opportunity to close this one out now. It's going to be a big backhand arcing across the field. Oh, it gets balled up. Is it going to hang? No, it's not. Just goes out of bounds. Enough of it from the palm of Clarice Tan.
Can see Inferno trying an arrowhead containment zone again to try and stop those passes, and they do that very well. Defense getting a hand on it before even any offensive player has a chance to get that disc.
Oh, big, high, lofty backhand. There's lots of shots, loads of people under it, and snagged out of the air, of course, by Cheryl Luhing. Bit of a chat about the contact. Let's having a look at that bit of a hospital pass.
Yeah, a bit. Although I gotta say, in a situation with so many players underneath that one disc, yeah, and claiming space, I think it's really hard to say who touched whom and what really happened. So glad they came to a conclusion.
Big chuck it and hope. Oh, and nearly! Goodness me! Rainbow Lapistol. Melbourne Inferno. Please catch your D's. You're making me have slight heart palpitations over here. Apostol trying to rip it over the top, but finds the waiting hands of the wall. Luhing trying to close this one out with her over the top backhands. A little bit too close to this far near sideline for that to quite come off. But standing at 5 foot flat, does need to have a high release to let those ones come out. So we've already mentioned veteran player for this team. Doggo in the background. We won't get distracted. So we want this game to continue on longer. Inferno squeezing themselves to get the resets. This near side corner. So always catch the frisbee in my book. Always.
Yeah, I agree. I love that we're getting a very intense point here. Seeing everyone fight for every disc.
Oh, be still my heart. Lack of focus from Apostol. Luhing picking up the disc. And a zoney coverage look from Inferno, trying to confuse things. Can Luhing slice it through? It's going to be another backhand. Oh, and there we go. Finally, the game is finished. It was a fight for the last point, but a well-deserved win, I think, for Hills.
Yeah, I agree. The talisman, Luhing, throwing that last assist to end that game. It's a very intense battle from both sides. Both did a very good job, offense and defense, fighting for every disc and in the conditions.
Yes, as you said, Christina, the wind here in Canberra playing a little bit of extra help defense for both sides. Credit to the big throws that we've seen, and I don't think a single player throughout this game looked like they'd given up. The grind was phenomenal, but that's a wrap for this game. Next up on our stream, we're going to have some more action from the men's division, so do stay tuned for that. But I've been Hannah Pendlebury for Christina Obermeyer. We'll catch you in a bit.